Circling. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on our last webinar of 2019. I'm Claire Toth. I'm joined by Donna St.Amant, both of us at Point View Wealth Management. I know everybody's busy this time of year, so we'll just do a couple of quick introductions, and I'll turn the stage over to Donna. As I said, I'm Claire. I'm the Vice President. I am a tax lawyer by training, so taxes remain my passion. I head up the planning side of Point View. Donna is one of our more senior portfolio managers. She's been with us a number of years, has an MBA and a strong background in fixed income. We're talking today about finishing this year strong, getting ready for next year. There have been some last minute changes in some of the laws that are going to govern your finances. We'll touch on those quickly. But for now, let's start with Donna and what we can do to finish this year. So welcome, Donna.
All right, great. Thank you, Claire. So the first thing we're going to talk about is harvesting losses. And so one way to take something positive from a position in your portfolio that's at a loss is to sell it and unlock that loss to offset a gain. This is the process of tax loss harvesting. And you reduce your taxes by reducing your realized gains. So the process works by you select some positions in your portfolio at a loss, sell those positions, and then you can reinvest the proceeds in a similar investment and use those losses to offset gains that have accumulated over the year. So you want to look for positions in the portfolio that have poor prospects for growth, ones that can easily be replaced by another investment and still maintain your strategy or your exposure to a particular sector. And first focus on the short-term losses because they are first used to offset short-term gains, which are taxed at a higher rate. And then in addition to offsetting your current gains and losses, any losses that are in excess of your gains can be used to offset up to $3,000 of ordinary income. And unused losses beyond that can be carried forward indefinitely. So even if you don't have any gains or the losses exceed your gains, it still may be worthwhile to take these losses because they can be used, to offset your gains in future years. So particularly useful if it's a very down market, you have a lot of losses in one year. You can take those losses at that time, and then in future years when the market's maybe is much higher and you have a lot of gains, you kind of have this carry forward in your pocket that you can use to offset the gains in a good year. And then I guess just one final note is you want to be aware of the wash sale rule. And that is that the tax write-off will be disallowed if you buy back the same security that you sold within 30 days time. So now I'm going to send it back to Claire, and she is going to talk about your required distributions from.
And I will in just a moment. The one thing I want to add to the discussion of loss carry forwards is the rules may vary for your state income tax rules. Donna was touching on the federal rules, which apply to all of us. So you want to see if your state handles it differently. I'll tell you, New Jersey does. For those of us who are age 70 and a half or older, you were required to take distributions from our traditional IRAs and from inherited IRAs. Roth IRAs do not have required distributions. This needs to be done by the end of the year. There is an exception if this is the first year you're required to take a distribution, but it's typically best to take it in the calendar year, even for those folks. You have the option to take to give the distribution directly to a charity. This is a great planning technique because it allows you to take the full standard deduction of, well, if you're over 70, it's for a married couple, it ends up being a bit more than $26,000. and still get the effective benefit of a charitable contribution deduction. So it's a great way to leverage deductions. In order to make a gift to charity out of your IRA, the charity has to cash the check by the end of the year. So this is almost the last moment that you can make that kind of distribution. If you've made all your charitable contributions for the year, you're really not looking to do that. Another great option is to have taxes withheld from your required distribution. Most taxpayers are required to make estimated tax payments 4 times a year if they aren't otherwise having taxes taken out from paychecks or IRA distributions. And for folks who get taxes withheld from an IRA distribution, it's treated as coming out ratably throughout the year, regardless of when you take the distribution. So for instance, you can take your IRA distribution today, have the entire distribution withheld to pay taxes, and not be treated as having made late estimated tax payments. So this is a great timing technique. It keeps more of your money off the tax grid longer. The caveat there is that if what you're having withheld as taxes from your distribution doesn't cover all of your tax payments, the remaining tax payments still have to come out those 4 times throughout the course of the year. So back to you, Donna, on some more techniques.
Year-end rebalancing of your investments. So setting an asset allocation is one of the most important components of managing your investments. But as the markets move, your assets are going to move away from this allocation target. So it's equally important to rebalance, so make sure that you stay on track. And year-end is a great time to do this and get yourself back on target. The most important thing is to do so at regular intervals. You could do it monthly, you could do it quarterly, but it should at least be done once a year. Because you don't want to be moving your assets around between equity and fixed income sort of based on market sentiment or based on emotions. This can lead to chasing the market. So if you have a set time frame to automatically rebalance at a regular interval, no matter what the market is doing, this is like a disciplined approach. It sets you up for success because you're more likely to buy low and to sell high. So diversification is a key element to managing risk, and rebalancing allows you to maintain this proper diversification among your asset classes. You don't want to leave yourself exposed by owning, too much or too little equity when the market turns. So you also want to use opportunities like depositing money or withdrawing money in your accounts to rebalance. You make these transactions with your asset allocation target in mind, and as you select investments, as opposed to kind of more randomly, selecting investments to buy or sell. Another way you could set up a disciplined approach is based on a certain percentage move in the market. So, if your portfolio moves 1 or 2 percentage points off your target, that's not, a big deal. But as it's creeping up towards a 5% move, you really need to rebalance. So this way, you would set a specified percentage move would trigger a rebalance. And you also want to remember to keep the taxes in mind when you are rebalancing in a taxable account. And that kind of gets back to, the losses and trying to offset the gains with loss positions. So you really just need to maintain a long-term focus, plan your asset allocation, and then don't forget this important step of rebalancing to keep you on target. This is a disciplined approach. It keeps you selling and taking profits when the markets are up and buying when the markets are down. Claire, anything to add to that?
That sounds good. Let's keep moving
on.
There's a lot of changes happening next year, and these are a few ways that you should be setting yourself up to take advantage of them. For those of us who are still working, there is finally a new form, SS4. This is the form you fill out when you're first hired at a new job. You tell your payroll department how much withholding to do for tax purposes. And when there was the big tax overhaul in 2017, a lot of employed folks did not adjust their withholdings and ended up being very surprised last year that they ended up owing taxes or perhaps had too much withheld. New form doesn't, it asks specific questions about factual questions about your family situation, so that you don't have to figure out exactly how much to withhold. It adjusts based on your answers. So the form is most useful if you're in a 2-income household, if you have children who are in elementary or high school or younger, because those are where the big adjustments happen. 401k plan, take another look, because first off, the contribution limits have increased. Everybody can now starting 2020, you can contribute $19,500 to your 401k. And for folks who are over the age of, or are 50 or over, you can boost it by $6,500 a year up to a total of $25,000. So you may want to adjust your 401k contribution amount. The other interesting thing about 401ks is the plans are now required to be updated every 3 to 5 years or so, and more new features are added every time they're updated. So take a fresh look at your 401k plan. You may be able to have a Roth 401k allocation. Everybody should have a Roth. They're a great deal. The money is not deductible when it goes in, but it grows tax-free. And when you take it out for retirement or other qualified purposes, it remains tax-free. This is unlike a traditional 401k or IRA where the money comes out and it's taxed as ordinary income. Most of us who are working are in high tax years, so we shouldn't be pouring a whole lot of non-deductible money into a Roth IRA. At the same time, or Roth IRA or 401k, but at the same time, for a Roth to work the way it's supposed to, it has to have been in existence for at least 5 years prior to retirement. So the idea is get it going, put a nominal amount in, and if you do it through the Roth 401k, that's fine. Throw in $10 or $20 a pay period just to plant the seed. Many 401k plans now allow for an automatic percentage increase. Every year when you get your salary review, hopefully it bumps up a bit, then you also increase your 401k contribution by 1% or so, without any additional effort on your part. It just happens. So for folks who aren't yet able to contribute the max to their 401ks, this is a great way to build the contribution over time and get you to the maximum contribution. And although the amount you can contribute to a 401k has increased, the amount you can contribute to an IRA outside of the employer retirement plan remains the same. $6,000 is the base contribution level, with a $1,000 catch-up for those over age 50, or those 50 and older, excuse me. And a reminder, in order to make an IRA contribution, you have to have earned income, you have to be working, or your spouse has to be working. With the 401k, obviously you are working, but we just want to add that little bit to the IRA, remind you of that with the IRA contributions. That everything, Donna?
Looks good.
Okay. Again, looking ahead to next year, a couple of things you should be adding if you're not already doing them. We love auto deposits. The 401k contributions are made automatically from your payroll. A lot of bill paying, particularly mortgages and car loans, are automatic. If you are not automatically saving, in IRAs, in taxable accounts, setting aside your rainy day fund. You can set these up to be automatic too. Small amount every month, keep building that wealth, and that's something everybody should be doing. Donna?
Consolidate. This makes your life much easier, particularly if you've had a lot of, you've had a lot of different jobs and you still have 401ks hanging out there. It's a great idea to roll them into an IRA, combine IRAs. It makes it for much easier management. Also when you have, different accounts managed at different places, one could be taking one strategy and, your other advisor could be taking a different strategy, and it kind of leaves you, not really accomplishing anything. And you're most likely over diversified if you have a lot of different accounts. So consolidate the investment advice and consolidate the accounts.
I touched a bit ago on Roth 401ks. If your 401k does not have a Roth feature, you should establish a Roth IRA. Again, you want to get that 5-year clock running. If you do not, if your income falls below certain levels, you can just make a straight contribution to a Roth IRA. That's typically about $192,000 for a married couple, a little bit more than half of that for a single. If you make too much money to make a direct Roth IRA contribution, then we recommend creating a Roth IRA and converting a small amount from your traditional IRA into a Roth. That conversion is taxable, and it's taxed as ordinary income. So you don't want to convert a whole lot and send yourself into a higher bracket or otherwise create unhappy surprises at tax time. So here I'm talking about converting $250 or $500 again to get the 5-year seed planted. Other tax planning things you should do that can benefit you down the road. If you are not yet at retirement age, you should be making your charitable contributions through a charitable gift fund. There are numerous reasons to do that. One is you can bunch charitable deductions so that, say, in 2020, you contribute enough money to this charitable gift fund to allow you to itemize deductions. And then for the next few years, just take the standard deduction. However, you don't have to give the money to charity in the year you put the money into your charitable gift fund. You get the deduction the moment you move the money into the fund. You get to decide when the money is distributed to charity. You can contribute highly appreciated securities to the charitable gift fund and never pay tax on the appreciation. So this can allow you both higher deductions and capital gain avoidance, and that's a real win-win. Of course, the third win is for charity. And finally, for those of you who have not linked your accounts to a spending program, there's a number of them out there, and our clients, I can help set you up. It's a really good idea. It's a really good discipline to find out where your money really goes, even if you think you're a good budgeter. We all have a few $100s a month that just vaporizes, and it may or may not change your spending habits, but it's a good idea to understand what's happening. These slides tell you a little bit about us. However, there are a couple of very, very late breaking developments that are going to affect most of us starting next year with IRAs. This is in the budget deal that both houses of Congress have passed. My understanding, it has not yet been signed into law. We expect that to happen tomorrow. So watch this space. There are a couple of really good things with IRAs, and there's one that has been advertised as the end of the world. So let's start with the good things. First, under present law, you are only allowed to make contributions to a traditional IRA up until age 70, even if you choose to work later than that. Beginning next year, you'll be able to make contributions to a traditional IRA up to age 72. So that can be a real benefit for those who who really enjoy their careers and want to keep going. Under current and future law, you can make direct contributions to a Roth IRA after age 70. However, direct Roth contributions do have that income limit. The other good news for IRA holders, again, starting next year, the requirement to take annual distributions is moving up from age 70 and a half to age 72, in line with the rules about making IRA contributions. So a number of folks will get to delay that first contribution by another year and a half. The bad news has to do with inherited IRAs. And this is a term of art. An inherited IRA is an IRA that is left to somebody other than your spouse. So if you inherit an IRA, we're typically talking about something from a parent, from a sibling, maybe from a grandparent. Beginning for folks who die after 2019, if you leave the IRA to somebody other than your spouse, the beneficiary must take all the money out of the IRA within 10 years. For existing inherited IRAs, the distribution comes out over the beneficiary's individual lifetime. That's faster than with a regular IRA, but it's typically slower than the new 10-year rule. And for folks who have really significant retirement assets, a couple of $1 million are not uncommon. For someone to receive all of that money in 10 years, all of it taxed as ordinary income, can create tax havoc. So there's going to be a lot of planning springing up around what do we do about this. And it may be a case of you speed up Roth conversions and make larger Roth conversions during your lifetime. If your beneficiary is in a higher tax bracket than you are, you're retired, your kid's an investment banker. So you take the tax hit, your child still has to take the money out over 10 years, but at least it's tax-free. I've said all along, IRAs are the best thing to leave to charity if you have any kind of charitable intention in your estate planning. The charity would take it out right away in any event, and charities don't pay taxes. So IRAs are becoming an even more attractive vehicle for that. Again, for folks with really significant IRAs, and I would say $1 million or more, there are ways to combine a charitable intent and still stretch it out a bit for your adult children, if your adult children are well into middle age. So this is going to be a really active topic in the next couple of years. And all I can say is stay tuned. I am addressing some of this in the next issue of the Point View investor newsletter that's coming out. If you don't already receive that, please contact us and ask to be put on our list, and we'll be sure you get a copy. And now I want to turn the floor over to questions. Or Donna, do you have any final thoughts?
See where we are here. I just wanted to remind everyone that we have a survey question out there. Are you contributing the maximum to your employer retirement plans? So if you could take a look and just answer our poll, we'll report the results after we address a couple of the questions.
And
let's see.
Yeah. And we're looking for questions. We can't possibly have answered every question you have about year-end tax, about year-end planning.
So there's a question here about IRA contributions. Maybe this is good for you, Claire. What is this I hear about having to take IRA distributions faster?
Right, and that's what we just discussed with the changes to inherited IRAs beginning
Okay.
next year.
Okay.
Yeah, and then again, the contribution distribution changes are kicking everything up to age 72,
Okay.
reflecting that so many Americans are working longer than our parents and our grandparents did.
Are there other changes to IRA contributions and distributions?
Well,
I think we covered that.
we're not changing the amount you can contribute each year, at least for IRAs. For other employer retirement plans, yes. So again, it's really a good idea to go back and work out a plan so that you are contributing the maximum that you can.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we can
Take a look at our poll.
take a look at the poll, and I think that's somewhat good news. We have more yes than no's, with 62% of the respondents said that they are contributing the maximum to their employer retirement fund, and 38% are not. So again, we would just really emphasize that that maximum is very important, and if you're not able to hit the maximum, to just try to take opportunities to increase your contribution annually, or when you get a raise, to try to just put that up a little bit as you work toward that maximum amount.
And in the meantime, have a very happy holiday season. We'll see you next year. And please contact us as more questions arise. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
joining us.
Bye-bye.